Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Triple N Media. I am Dr. Nik Nikam, a cardiologist from Houston, Texas. The topic of presentation today is which beef cut is worse, or is there a better cut that you can choose over the others? So let us begin with the main feature presentation. And the title is which beef cut is better or worse? Just like they say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It all depends upon what you're looking for. If you're looking for taste, it's a different option. If you're looking for fat content, it's a totally different option. If you are looking for calories, it's a different option. Anyway, let's look at all the different types of beefs that are available in the market, and I'm going to be reviewing 10 different kinds of beef cuts so that you have a much better understanding of what you are getting when you sit at the restaurant and order your favorite meal. But I wanted to tell you something else. Besides the nutritional value of these cuts, you also have to keep in mind the drink that you're ordering, how many calories are there, how much sugar is in that one, and followed that by your alcohol plus French fries could be 400 to 600 calories plus fat, all these things. And when you go for a dinner, when you're having a beautiful romantic dinner, you just can't stop there. You got to order another glass of wine and add that calories too. How about a dessert? A pecan pie or a nice melted chocolate dessert, another 500 calories. So you have to take the whole package. But today we're going to focus upon just the meat part of it, the meat of it, which is the beef cuts. As I said, there can be chuck, rib, round, shank, flank, brisket. They can be coming from any part of the body, but we're going to dissect and find out which part has the worst possible amount of fat and which one has less amount of fat. So let us begin with the feature presentation. Here is the first 5 set of beef cuts, and on the top we have the names of these beef cuts: tri-tip, chuck eye, flank, strips, sirloin. And here are the pictures that depict these cuts. And now we're going to look at their weights. Their weights varies from one beef to the other, so you have to kind of standardize this. If you're looking at, let's say you're taking a half a pound of meat, then you have to equate that to half a pound of meat, which will be like 500 grams. You get it? Half a is equal to 450 grams. So half a pound of meat is equal to approximately 240 grams. So let's begin with the tri-tip. Tri-tip has 261 grams in weight and 211 calories, 11 grams of fat, 26 grams of protein, and tenderness 6 out of 10. So it looks like it has a reasonably lesser amount of fat compared to other ones. So let's move on. If you look at chuck eye, by just looking at it, you can see there's a lot of fat between the muscle bundles. And this one is 308 grams, 277 calories. Now the fat jumps to 19.6 grams, 20 grams of fat. You're getting close to 40 grams of fat just from your meat serving alone. That's not counting your drinks, your fries, mashed potatoes, gravy, and the rest of it. You get 25 grams of protein, which is sort of standard if you look at 25 to 26, 23 grams of protein. So that is not the issue. The issue is even the calories are not really major compared to a medium-sized French fries, which is like 400 calories. So your meat is meat has a lot less calories compared to a medium-sized French fries. But the problem is with the fat, and the worst part of it is majority of the fat in the beef cuts are of saturated nature. The saturated fat leads to buildup of cholesterol. It leads to elevated LDL levels. It leads to blockages of arteries that causes heart attacks, kidney problems, and vascular occlusions in the legs or in the neck, the carotid artery stenosis as we call it. Okay, let's move on. The flank, 100 grams. But when it says 100 grams, you have to make sure that it is not matching with the weight. So you may have to double up on this. Again, you got same amount of calories, little less fat because you have less amount of meat, but the protein content is pretty good and the tenderness is somewhere in the middle. And now look at here, strip sirloin. Just like chuck eye, you can see all this fat kind of marbling, more and more marbling. The marbling is graded on 1 to 5. Some of them may be like 4/5 when it comes to marbling. Marbling is basically the fat content between the muscle fibers. The more fat content you have between the muscle fibers, the higher is going to be the fat composition of that particular meat. It may taste better, but once it gets into your body, it's going to be converted into bad cholesterol and also increased triglyceride levels. So this one has 214 grams, 10 grams of fat, which is kind of surprising, but protein is the same and 7/10 is a tenderness. Now let's look at your ribeye steak. Ribeye steak, you can see this fat layer. This fat layer is as thick as some smaller muscle bundles. And when you have this amount of fat, that's all saturated fat. It is solid fat. And when you eat this solid fat, it is saturated fat. It's the saturated fat that increases the bad cholesterol, the LDL cholesterol. So of all the choices in this chart, ribeye seems to top when it comes to the amount of fat. The fat grams, 21.8 grams. The calories and the rest are same, but it's tender, it's juicy. Man, you can't pass up a ribeye steak, can you? Yeah, but think about it, what's going to happen when you try to do this every week, week after week, for 20 years. You're going to be seeing a heart doctor or a kidney doctor or a diabetes doctor. I mean, anything done in moderation is fine. You know, I'm not against people eating whatever food they like, and especially if they are in a celebrity mood, it's fine, but maybe share it with your family member or a spouse or a friend so that you not only enjoy the company. I always tell my friends, hey man, pig out on your calories at home before you go to a restaurant. If you want, get a glass of wine at home before you go to the restaurants. So when you go to the restaurant, you're going there for a change in ambience. Because you're fed up sitting at home all day long, doing nothing, just romancing the TV, romancing the cell phone, romancing the iPad, whatever the heck it is, and you're fed up. I don't care if it's raining outside. I want to go outside and have some quiet time. So you invite a friend. So when you invite a friend, you go there, and your friend wants to eat the whole stomach meal in a restaurant. That's going to cost you 2 to 3 times more than what you anticipated. So the better trick is load up yourself with calories at home, and when you go there, you get a nice glass of wine, or maybe share a meal, because especially in Texas, all these meals are mega meals, which I don't think is right for any person. And I can say that as a cardiologist because I have so many people who have had coronary artery disease, for whom I have done heart catheterizations and put stents. So I understand the effect of saturated fat over a long period of time. So keeping that in mind, when you go to a restaurant, try to minimize fat intake, minimize calorie intake, maximize the evening experience, maximize the friendship, the camaraderie, and that should be the focus, not pigging out on food in a restaurant, especially when the restaurant prices have gone up like 30-40% in the recent year, that is year 2022 and 21. Let's move on to ribeye steak. I talked about ribeye steak. I don't know why I stopped at ribeye steak and started preaching about cardiology, but it is important for us to enjoy our life. In order for us to enjoy our life, we need to know what are some of the things that we need to be focusing on. And as I said, I don't go to a restaurant with an empty stomach. I mean, that's ludicrous. You eat some snack or eat a toast or get a drink and then go to the restaurant. So when you're sitting there, you just want to sit and have a wonderful chat. Look at the candle, the person, and the company, and the evening, which has been given to you as a gift. Just relish that. You can eat a steak at home, no big deal. Let's move on to the next chapter here. And here, as I said, I do want to thank folks at this website. You can log on to this website and get more detail on each one of these items. But I'm trying to make you a better person. How to stay away from heart doctors. Okay, let's continue. Now we have the next round. Round cut meat, which is 236 grams, 200 calories, 7 grams of fat. Not bad compared to 21 grams of fat in the ribeye steak. And but it's not that tender as a ribeye steak. The tenderness comes from the fat. When the fat dissolves and melts, fat is not a muscle fiber. So it is just like a mushy stuff, but it tastes so good. Especially when they put some butter on top of that. Ooh, heaven, I tell you. But the thing is, you want to see what is good for you in the long term. It's fine to enjoy a steak once in a while. I have no problem if you want to enjoy. I don't necessarily eat the steak myself, but keep in mind these calories. Skirt. I don't know why they call this skirt. It looks like a skirt. You see all these little frills coming along here. So it's like a skrill. Anyway, they give for like 100 grams. So I multiplied it by 2. So it's 200 grams, 440 calories, 24 grams of fat. Ooh, it doesn't look dangerous, but it could be. That's why it pays to be an educated customer. It pays to be a wise customer, especially when you go to restaurants nowadays for an evening experience. It has got 51 grams of protein. Maybe you don't take 8 ounces of meat, this one, whatever it is. Oh, T-bone, everybody's favorite. If I ask anybody, what do you want to order? I want a 24-ounce Del Monte T-bone steak. Ooh, 600 grams, 247, maybe half of that is just bone. Look at all the other ones are like 200 grams, and this one is 600 milligrams. That is like double the weight, and maybe half of that is just bone. You're just paying for the bone. But anyway, it tastes great. 247 calories, 15 grams of fat. Not as bad as the other one we saw. What was that? Ribeye steak. Okay, protein, and it's tender. Ooh, T-bone. Very tender. You can just put it in your mouth and it will melt. How about that? Filet mignon. Filet mignon is just like a round chunk of just meat. You don't see a whole lot of fat, but nonetheless, it does taste good because the tenderness is 9/10. And if it is cooked properly, if it's made like well done, then it's going to be like a rock. But if it's rare, it's going to be like a raw meat. So you have to go somewhere between, like medium. Even medium rare, I was told, is something uncooked. And you have to think about it. So it's 225 grams, 11 grams of fat, and the rest of the stuff, you can read it. Tomahawk missile. Oh, body. When people look at this, their mouth starts watering. Even before they eat. They don't even know how it tastes. Some of them may not taste as good as you imagine. But nonetheless, the appearance of a tomahawk missile is like a missile. We were talking about tomahawk. I mean, the moment you hear the name tomahawk, you think about the tomahawk missile. And it looks like a missile ready to just project itself. Anyway, they give it as 1 kg. There's a typo here. And this 1 kg is, and here are the calorie counts, and it's a very tender meat. It's just like lamb chops. You get very small quantity, but it tastes delicious, doesn't it? In the next presentation, I'm going to talk to you about foods along the same category, which are very high in saturated fats. We covered the various cuts of beef, and in the next presentation, I'm going to talk about all these other food contents which can ruin your cholesterol levels, which can increase your calorie count, which can increase your belly size and belt size, which can increase your risk for cardiovascular diseases. Thank you so much for watching this presentation. I am Dr. Nik Nikam from Houston, Texas. Please leave some comments as to what you think about all these various cuts of beef. Which is your favorite, and how do you select your beef cut? Do you really care about calories, protein, or fat? Or are you just looking at the picture and say, I want that T-bone, 24 ounces. Make sure it is medium rare. All right. I'll see you in the next video, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.